Welcome back. We're on the porch swing today, so if I get to swinging, don't mind me. That's one of my favorites. So today's lesson, we're talking about what are you training for? We know that athletes train for the sport that they love. They work hard, they train. There's early morning workouts. I remember taking the boys 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning for their football workouts, and very early. So athletes train, they work hard for the goal that they have for themselves. And when they're training, it involves discipline. They have to be dedicated, they have to be driven, they have to really focus on what they're doing to achieve what they're wanting to achieve. So the discipline part, that's hard because, do I really want to get up this morning? Do I really want to do all of the things that are required to be what they want to be? And so they have to mentally make that decision, that they've got to think about what they're trying to do. They're wanting to do what they love. And it takes discipline, and there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into their training. So it takes discipline. And the Bible talks a lot about discipline. And when we read about discipline in the Bible, there's, God's discipline. There is disciplining a child. And a lot of times when we think of discipline, we think of punishment. And that's not always what discipline is. We need to kind of change our mindset that it is training. You're training, and God is training you for what He's trying to create you to be. And just like the athlete, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into God's discipline. It's hard. It's real hard. And just like the athlete is training because they need to be stronger, they need to be healthy, they need to work hard, but they're trying to get stronger and trying to get better. And so that's what God's training is He's trying to make us stronger, and He's trying to make us better. Proverbs 3:11 and 12 says, "My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of His correction. For whom the Lord loveth, He correcteth, even as a father the son in whom He delighteth." So, just like that athlete uses discipline to train, God uses discipline to train us and to teach us. And He's trying to mold us into what He's created us to be. In Hebrews 12:5-7, it says, "And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint, for thou art rebuked of Him. For whom the Lord loveth, He chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom He receiveth. If ye endure chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons, for what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not?" So we can see there that, there's a lot of endurance to discipline. There's a lot of endurance to training, period. We can't give up. We have to keep going, and we have to persevere. I have a story. It's a cute little story, but it explains a lot of how we feel when we go through discipline or training. And it's called The Little Teacup. And it's a story of, it's about a couple that they go into this china shop, and they see this beautiful cup on the top shelf, and they say, "May I see that?" The man asks the shopkeeper. "I've never seen a teacup like that before. It's absolutely beautiful." Suddenly the teacup speaks. "You don't understand. I haven't always been a teacup. There was a time when I was red, made of clay, My master took me and rolled me and patted me over and over and over. As he did so, I yelled out, "Leave me alone." But he only smiled and said, "Not yet." Then I was placed on a spinning wheel, and suddenly I was spun around and around and around. "Stop it," I said. "I'm getting dizzy," I screamed. The master only nodded and said, "Not yet." Then he put me in a hot oven. I had never felt such heat. I wondered why he wanted me to burn like that, and I yelled and knocked at the door. I could see him through the opening, and I could read his lips, and he shook his head and said, "Not yet." Finally, the door did open. Whew. He put me up on a shelf, and I began to cool. "There, that's better," I said. He only smiled. Then suddenly, he brushed me and painted me all over. The fumes were horrible, and I was gagging for air. "Stop it, stop it, I can't stand it," I cried. He only nodded and said, "Not yet." Then suddenly, he put me back into another oven, unlike the first one, and twice as hot. I knew that I would not last, and I began to suffocate. I begged, I pleaded, I screamed, I cried. And all of the time, I could see him through the opening, still nodding his head and saying, "Not yet." And then I knew that there was no hope, and I was doomed to perish. I was ready to give up. But the door opened, and he took me out and placed me on a shelf. 1 hour later, he handed me a mirror and said, "Look at yourself." And I did, and I gasped. "That's not me. It couldn't be." I said, "I'm beautiful." "I want you to remember," he then said. "I know how it hurt to be rolled and patted, but if I left you, you would have dried up. I know you must have been dizzy spinning around on that wheel, but if I had stopped, you would have crumbled to pieces. I know it hurt and pained you while you were in that oven, but if I hadn't put you in there, you would have cracked. I know the fumes were bad when I brushed you and painted you all over, but you see, if I hadn't done that, you would have never hardened. There would have been no color in your life, and if I hadn't put you back in the second oven, you wouldn't have survived for very long, and the hardness would not have held. Now you are a beautiful, shining product for all to admire and appreciate. You're a finished product. You're what I had in mind when I first began working on you." So, like that little teacup, we are all in those seasons of life, different seasons where we feel like we've been just pushed down or destroyed. We feel like we can't handle it anymore. We feel like, we just can't make it through another day, or we just feel like we're just gonna crumble. And he is busy with his, with the discipline and with creating in us what he wants us to be, what he's created us to be. He wants us to be able to be stronger. He doesn't want us to crumble. He wants us to be able to stand firm and not fall. He wants us to be able to not fail. And he wants to make us better. And he doesn't only want to just make us better for us or for him. He wants us to make us better for others, so that we can encourage others, so that we can lift someone else up when they're going through that difficult time or that difficult season of their lives. When they're being disciplined or trained, we want him to look at us and say, "You are what I had in mind when I first began working on you." Just like I said the other day, that song, he's still working on me. And that's what he's doing in all of our lives. And, we go through these different obstacles or seasons of our lives, and things just get hard. And we are on his mind. And we are going through all these different things, but the thing is, he's not left us to do it alone. He's not left us to do it all without his strength, without his comfort. James 1:2-6 says, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering, for he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven from the wind and tossed. So, the trying of our faith worketh patience. You know, our faith is tried every day, and he's teaching us, he's molding us. You know, we're in God's training program. You know, just like that athlete trains, that athlete doesn't just train one day a week and they're done. And then they'll start picking up the next week. They can't do that. And they know that. They know it has to be every day perseverance, enduring those hardships, fighting those battles day in, day out to get to the goal that they have in mind. And it's the same with God's discipline and his teaching and his correction. He's teaching us and growing us and training us so that we can be better, that we can be all he created us to be. But like I said, it's not just for us, it's for others too. Just today I've talked to 2 different people that are struggling, and you know, one's a mom. She told me, you know, I'm doing all I can to hold it together, and we struggle. And you know, it's like I told her, we're all on this struggle bus together. We're just all in different seasons, and I'm ready to get off at the next stop. And it's hard because you just want to stop. You just want to stop and just let me take a minute. You know, it is hard. The discipline, the training, but it is all worth it. You know, when you get to the other side of that and you look back and you see where God was working, you see what God was doing, you see what parts he was chiseling away, and that needed to be done for us to be just like that cup, to be that beautiful creation that he created us to be. So I hope that you know that you're not alone in your struggle. He's got you. I've told y'all that over and over, and I don't even know how else to put it. But he's got you, and you're not alone in it. You know, we can all pray for each other, encourage each other, and just help each other through each of these seasons of our lives. I thank you for being here. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me, texting me, messaging me. It encourages me more than you know. You know, I had a rough morning, so getting on here and spending time with you guys is a joy. It lifts me up, it helps me, and so go out and help someone else today, encourage someone else, pray for someone else, because we're all facing our own battles, and it helps to know, you know, we're not alone. So y'all have a great week, and until then, I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.